They are beasts. All right. So Billy from Philly is here, and he says he is pumped for TNA Bound for Glory. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about TNA Bound for Glory. Let me pull up the card. I know most of the card off the top of my head, but we'll go ahead and cover it. Uncle Dave did cover it on Wrestling Observer Radio, but he really covered what the main event was. He didn't actually go through what the matches were going to be. So I at least wanted to give them that, because I don't think I'm going to get to, because Bound for Glory is on Saturday. I don't actually think I'm going to get to like a full preview show. So we'll do that here, because I typically do Brace for Impact on Saturday mornings, but since I'm doing Bound for Glory in the evening and doing a live show, so everybody check out, if you're a subscriber to this channel, get your notifications on, because I'm going to be going live immediately after Bound for Glory with my Brace for Impact. We're going live, and we're going to talk Bound for Glory 2024. So let's get to the card. So the main event is Nick Nemeth versus Joe Hendry for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Main event anywhere in the country there. And with special guest referee Frankie the Future Kazarian, and also JBL is looming large. He's been all over Twitter saying he's going to be there as well. He's been getting involved in Nick Nemeth's matches recently. So they're adding a layer of intrigue.
Like John Bradshaw Layfield?
Yes, he has crossed the line. He is but he's been everywhere. I think, like, he's been in Game Changer, he's been in OVW, MLW, he's done TNA a couple of times.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think if your kid's having a bat mitzvah or something, you could probably hire him to clothesline some people. So yeah, and to add a layer of intrigue, on the pre-show, they're doing the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, which is like their Money in the Bank, and AEW has their version of that too. It's also kind of a battle royal. The Christian's got a briefcase now, so TNA has been doing that for a while now, and Kaz is in that.
Do they still give away the bowling trophy for that?
It's a bowling trophy, guys. If you want to hear JD make fun of the bowling trophy and shit all over TNA or Impact, go to our YouTube channel. I just released it a couple days ago. Our Bound for Glory 2021 review, where Moose cashed in his Call Your Shot against Josh Alexander moments after beating Christian Cage. We went live right after that. The audio hasn't been around in a long time because I never put that audio on Patreon. I put the audio on Patreon and the video. Well, it's just audio on YouTube. I released audio on YouTube with like a graphic. But,
I said, were we even doing video at that time? I don't even think we were.
We were not on video at the time. I think every once in a while I did clips, but it was all just audio. But yeah, good? We were fucking brutal to that show, dude. It was bad.
I forgot. I have not heard obviously in 3 years. I should go back and listen to that. That's
dude. It was so funny. I wasn't gonna listen. I was like, I found the audio. I was like, you know what? Because I thought it'd be kind of cool, like in the lead up to Bound for Glory, to release some of our old episodes. And so I was like, I found 2021. That was our first Bound for Glory episode, and we were brutal, dude. We were so mad at the ending of that show. It was. Dude, you almost quit that night. Like, it was so funny. So I think everybody should go and check it out. It's on YouTube right now, and it's on Patreon.
Dude, that's the gimmick of the old Brace for Impact, is JD really doesn't like this show, but he's reviewing it every single week. And until
JD hates the show, but he just refuses to quit. And then Taylor Wilde got you to finally
did it, man. Taylor Wilde and Jimmy Jacobs, and then he immediately came to AEW a week after I broke.
Yeah. So, JD, I'm not going to ask you for your predictions because you're not watching the show, but for those watching, they're trying to create doubt. They're trying to create doubt that Kazarian is very likely to win that Call Your Shot Gauntlet bowling trophy, and he's going to be the special referee in the main event. So they're trying to create doubt that they're not going to put the belt on Joe Hendry. I think they're just trying to create anxiety and intrigue into the main event, add some layers to the story. I think Joe Hendry is going to win it. I'm pretty sure.
Joe Hendry got pretty over about 3 or 4 months ago. Is he still as over as he was then?
He's probably more over, honestly. Yeah, he and Bound for Glory right now, they outsold their biggest like U.S. attended show, which was 2,100 in San Antonio. They're already way over that. It's going to be their highest grossing event of the year. It's going to be their largest attended except for Slammiversary, which they're not going to like. That was like 3,500. So they're going to be like probably like around 25 to 3,000 for the show. He is getting crazy pops wherever he goes. I felt bad for Darby Allin, who was at a Seahawks game earlier in the week, and they showed him to the live crowd, and nobody knew who he was. But at the Pistons game last night, Joe Hendry and the Hardy Boys were there, and that crowd went crazy. And then they played Joe Hendry's song, and people were singing along with it. Like, the guy's just over right now. It's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go Joe Hendry in that one. Co-main event: Jordan Grace versus Masha Slamovich. Considering Jordan Grace is a Fed head now, and she's gonna give up her morals to go work for the Fed. I get the feeling that Masha Slamovich is gonna be winning this match.
Finally, like, I feel like this should have happened like 2 years ago, but yeah, cool.
Well, they did this match 2 years ago.
I remember.
Jordan Grace won.
We talked about it 2 years ago, and I said, why wouldn't they put Masha? Because that's when they were building Masha to be something, and then they just threw the brakes on that. It was weird. Like, they were pushing Masha really hard, and then they just kind of stopped.
Yeah, they did. So I think now is Masha's time. So everybody's question, who's asking the question, like, who's going to replace Jordan Grace? Well, it's going to be Masha. And then they'll just sign somebody else to be at the bottom of the card and kind of just move everybody else up. That's kind of what they do. It's like a next man up mentality there. Full Metal Mayhem, in an effort to finally kill Jeff Hardy, we have the Hardy Boys in a ladder match versus Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers versus ABC. Part of me doesn't want to believe that they're going to put, I think putting the Hardys, giving them the belts is probably a good idea, the Hardys. But me personally, I'd kind of like to see ABC get a big spotlight and get a victory over the Hardy Boys in the biggest show of the year. That's kind of where I would like to go with it. I get the feeling that the Hardy Boys are going to end up going over because they're fucking over everywhere they go. It's like Hardy Boys and Joe Hendry everywhere. They're like big time celebrities. I think the end of the show is going to be those three guys with belts, right? Like, they're so popular right now.
I can't see the Hardy Boys not doing it. I really can't.
Yeah. But I just worry about Jeff because, like, every time, like last time he was in a ladder match in AEW, he ended up getting a DUI and, like, we just never saw him again. Like, I'm kind of fear for his safety because he's almost 50 and he still wants to do stupid shit.
I mean, they were gearing up the Hardy Boys to have a big run in AEW, and then Jeff just kind of Jeffed it, you know?
Yeah. Jeff going to Jeff. And then we got, I think is going to be kind of a decent match. Moose versus Mike Santana. They've been really pushing Mike Santana as like going to be one of their top guys. And considering there's going to be a big turnover next year in 2025, a lot of people are leaving, like Speedball and Josh Alexander's probably out the door, and Jonathan Gresham's going to be gone. So I think Mike Santana's kind of primed to be kind of like that number 2 babyface in the company behind Joe Hendry. And I think him getting a victory over Moose here would actually help with that. So I think the match is going to be pretty good.
I like Santana. I hope he gets that spot. He's been wanting more for a long time, and I hope he gets it.
Dude, this guy's a really good promo.
He is.
I didn't get to see the show tonight. I'm going to watch it after we're done here. But they actually filmed a really cool promo in the Bronx. Like they had a guy who he said he had a 6K camera. The guy who filmed it, he was not bragging, but he was like telling the story of the production of it. He took a 6K camera with him over there to do the filming and things like that. And the way they shot it was so cool. And Mike Santana he's just so freaking real. Like, the guy just comes off as like a legit, like a badass dude from the Bronx, who has a great backstory, a heart-wrenching story. He's overcome a lot in his life, and I think people are really going to get behind him as a babyface if he's able to kind of get up into a top spot in this promotion or another promotion. So he's one to watch for.
I love him. I don't. It's hard to say AEW missed the boat on him because, like, again, they're so overloaded with talent. It's just, yeah. But I think that I do think he was probably underutilized there as a single. I know Tony had his heart set on those two guys as a tag team. And they wound up hating each other, but yeah. I think Mike Santana's pretty damn good. Good promo, good wrestler. It's good talent.
Yeah. And then, this is a match that is booked for Mike Gilbert. This is the Mike Gilbert match. Josh Alexander versus Steve Macklin. This is going to be a tough one for TNA because if either guy loses, I'm going to be pissed. So, and then if they do a screw job, also going to be pissed. So this is going to be tough because these are like my two favorite guys in the company. Everybody knows that I just absolutely appreciate both guys. Josh Alexander very likely leaving next year. But that doesn't mean he should lose on this occasion. I think they should probably do like a full feud with Macklin. This is the first match and Alexander's the heel. I think Alexander should probably take this one, and then Macklin get the comeuppance in a couple of months. That's where I would go with it. But if they're just gonna have Macklin go over, then there's no real reason to continue the feud, and they got nobody else to feud him with. So
yeah, I agree. I think but I was gonna say it should be Macklin because he's probably sticking around. But you just made a pretty compelling case why they could probably stretch it out a little bit. And there's no reason to try to write Josh off right now. Yeah. But it probably is time for him to do something else. Like what more does he have to do in TNA? You know,
this heel run, like his heel work, like as a character, is very good. It's unfortunate that they turned him heel, and he's kind of like letting everybody know, letting the sheets know, like he's gone, right? And you know, Ibu was on here last week telling us that there's a bidding war kind of gonna happen as soon as his contract is up between WWE and AEW. It's not a coincidence that he has that information, right? Because he doesn't cover TNA. I think when he does talk about TNA, he kind of does it with like reluctantly. So like he has the info. There's like Alexander's putting this information out there. He's trying to go somewhere else. So now you're TNA. It's like, okay, we have this guy that clearly wants to go. We have him till February. What are we going to do? Well, what they did to Deonna Purrazzo when she started leaking to everybody that she was ready to go and that she didn't want to get re-signed, they beat her every month. And that's what they've done with Alexander. Slammiversary, like 3 pay-per-views in a row, they beat him. They beat him bad. So I get the feeling that's what's going to happen. But I like in my head, he's been one of their top guys for a long time. I think they should let him go with some dignity, even though he's leaving. So,
I mean, like, it's wrestling. You do the job on the way out. That's just how it is. But I do think they should utilize more. I would like to see an Alexander Macklin feud because I really enjoy both of their work. Yeah. He's really becoming Josh specifically a free agent at the right time. You know, it's easy to see him going over to NXT and rejoining Ethan Page. I could see him doing stuff in the main roster. I could see him going to AEW. I could see a lot for Josh Alexander. Good time for him, man. Hope things work out.
Yeah. And then we go to this was booked specifically for Dave Meltzer. This is your Oscar bait match of the night. Speedball Mike Bailey versus Vikingo from AAA for the X Division Championship.
A lot of flipping and a flopping.
Yeah. Flipping 2.9s, kickouts, all kinds of stuff happening there. Should be a tremendous match. Probably like preemptively, the match is gonna start at 4.5 stars, and then they're gonna have to lose it from there.
Here comes JD's annual. I just don't get Mike Bailey.
You're gonna get an angry DM from King of the North, who is a Canadian and loves Mike Bailey. Yeah,
he's so boring to me. Like, your idea of making him like George St. Pierre with the suits and stuff like that would have been the most interesting thing ever done with Speedball Mike Bailey. Instead, he's just what's a Speedball? He just kicks and like has no personality. I don't know.
His match with Takeshita over the weekend was fucking incredible.
He's a good wrestler.
Yeah, he's great in the ring.
There's a lot of good wrestlers. Like there's tons of good. There's so many good wrestlers.
Yeah,
it's whatever.
I think he's going to be another one of those guys on the AEW roster next year that Tony is not going to be able to book. He's just going to throw him in good matches, and that's just what we're going to get out of Speedball. It's like,
but that's what you do with Speedball. He's not a compelling television character.
I know exactly what to do with Speedball. I pitched it years ago. It's George St. Pierre. Like just copy George St. Pierre. Like that's it.
I know. I mean, it would have been the only interesting you can do with him because, George St. Pierre, say what you want. He didn't have great personality either. No. But he's also Batroc the Leaper. So, I mean, I don't know. What? I'd rather have Josh Alexander, quite frankly.
Yeah. In the King of the North match of the night, PCO versus Mid Cardona. Double title match. It's the digital media title and the fucking international championship. So, so there you go. Yeah, PCO is going to win. So there you go. King of the North says Tony can't book him in angles because he can't cut a promo and can't show personality. Yeah, that's been the issue in TNA, and that's why everybody's like, he needs to get out of TNA so he can be booked better. I'm like, I don't think anybody's ever going to book him better than TNA. He's been in co-mains and mains all like for 3 years, several titles, been in world title matches, had match of the year like 3 years in a row, once with Josh, once with Will Ospreay. And I think his match with Mustafa Ali was very good earlier this year at Slammiversary. Like he co-headlined the biggest show in TNA in a decade in Montreal in front of 3,500 people and got like I think he's been booked pretty well. But he's a hard guy to tell stories with because he can't cut promos. He sounds like a weenie.
Yes. you should go to Noah, quite frankly. Yeah. Like go to Pro Wrestling Noah, where that stuff doesn't matter. Like,
yeah. We got let's see, we got Spitfire, which is Jody Threat and Danny Luna taking on taking on Rosemary and her tag team partner, the one, the only Spooky Chew. The sleep demon is here. Rock and roll, Spooky Chew. All right, that's enough of that. Sorry. gotta get my gimmicks in.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit about the match. Spooky Chew's winning. And then there's some pre-show matches, but that is a Bound for Glory in a nutshell. Surprisingly, nobody from the roster has teased any surprises, although Joe Hendry has been tagging Eminem, trying to beg him to come to the show because they're in Detroit.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, he might as well tag Abraham Lincoln. Like,
I'd have a better chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for TNA. I'm glad that their fans are super excited and super engaged right now. It seems like the WWE relationship is helping them. I don't know about a ton because they were getting hot kind of before all this stuff started. Hot for TNA, right? Different standards, but it's definitely not hurting them right now. So good for them.
This has been their best year in forever. As far as like at the box office and pay-per-views, they can't get anybody to watch the shows because just nobody has the channel. But every other metric they're in is like way up this year, and so they've done a great job leveraging partnerships and doing all those things. Yeah.
Speaking of TNA, I haven't listened to your show, so what did you think of the MLP show?
You know what, King of the North, chime in on in the comments because I'm curious what you thought of the My Little Pony Wrestling from Canada, MLP.
The Brony show.
The Brony show, yeah. No, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. I thought it was TNA Canada. It's just like, dude. So they had good main events, right? Scott D'Amore can book good main events. So both nights had a good main event. It's Speedball versus Takeshita night 1. Night 2 was Takeshita and Josh Alexander. And Scott D'Amore, no one can book AEW talent beating up on TNA talent better than Scott D'Amore.
He's like, been doing
that's
it for
his
years.
Favorite pastime.
It sure is.
Yeah. So he did that. So both those main events were really good. I know somebody, Brian, said he thought Takeshita and Josh was boring. I thought it took a while to get going, but once it got going, I thought it was really good. I think Josh Alexander was probably trying to have an Okada match. So the problem was that night before was Takeshita and Speedball, and they were all gas, no breaks, like for fucking 25 minutes. And so, and then Josh was trying to be Canadian strong style, slowed it down a little bit, but then picked it up in like the last 5 to 7 minutes. And I thought it ended up being pretty good. I thought they had two, and then I thought their co-main events, both women's matches, I thought were pretty good both nights. Giselle Shaw versus Miyu Yamashita night 1, and then night 2 had Giselle getting big spot in Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, believe it or not. But she also got booked to lose against an AEW talent in Athena, so it was a Ring of Honor title match. So, but Scott's got support from AEW, TNA, and New Japan, so that's good. But outside of those talent, he didn't have anybody. Like he's got like Aiden Prince and Rohit Raju and all these other cats.
I mean, to be fair though, it's not like the Indies is boiling over with talent right now. Like you're gonna have to build people, and the only way you can build people is to get people to pay attention. The way you do that is just put familiar faces on the shows. That's kind of what happened. That's kind of what indie wrestling was 10 years ago, back when indie wrestling was super awesome. You had a couple people that like, oh yeah, I know who that is, and then you let all these other guys just kind of build and get great. So I don't think the recipe is wrong. It's just gonna take some time.
I think it's gonna be bigger than an indie. As far as production wise, it was TNA's production.
Looked like it.
Keith Mitchell's the director, and Kevin Sullivan the producer. Dave Sahadi is there. Yeah. All people that Keith Mitchell left TNA to go to AEW, but Dave Sahadi and Kevin Sullivan were both fired by TNA, so I brought them in. Brought in obviously Callis is on the call as the color guy. Mauro Ranallo, play-by-play guy. And the ring looked like every ring that they've ever used when TNA went to Border City Wrestling to Windsor. The ring ropes were the same. The logos were similar. The way they did the barricades around the ring looked like every TNA show that Scott D'Amore promoted in Windsor. And even had the same audio issues backstage. Like it looked really good. In fact, on Dynamite, on Dynamite a couple nights ago, or last night, they actually showed the closing angle of night 2 where Ricochet came and saved Takeshita from beating up Josh Alexander, right? They made TNA look like a geek on that show, but that's the way it is. So Ricochet comes and saves Josh, and I'll be honest, like their production looked better than AEW. It just looked like a nicer show to me. Like the fans were well lit, they were going crazy, but then you cut back to Dynamite, now comes like Camille and Queen Aminata, and it's like all you can see is the top of people's heads. It's like dark, and they're in a basketball arena with like 2,500 people, and it just doesn't sound very good. So like the show like aesthetically looked pretty decent. It just looked like a pay-per-view from TNA though.
I miss AEW shows where people gave a shit in the crowd. Oh well, they're giving us some better stories. AEW, I liked Dynamite last night, so I think things are looking better. I hope.
All right. Well, I did ask King of the North what he thought. He said he liked the opening and closing matches of both nights. That's a Scott D'Amore specialty. Comes out hot with trios matches and multi-person matches in the beginning, and then gives you a big main event. Everything in between is kind of lame. Mm-hmm. He said rest of it was pretty unfortunate. Yeah. So on night 1, JD, they had in the co-main event slot Raj Desi, the Maharaja, Jinder Mahal versus Bully Ray in a tables match. It was. I gotta wait for him to put his headphones back on.
Nope, I quit. I quit the show.
It was one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever seen in my life.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Jinder Mahal versus Bubba was bad. I'm shocked.
Yeah, and then they shot an angle to go to night 2 where Bully and QT Marshall teamed up to take on Jinder Mahal and Bhupinder Gujjar from who used to be in TNA. Yeah. And it was completely brutal. Both of it. It was terrible. So, but like I said, like everybody's like Scott D'Amore's coming for TNA spot. I was like, guys, no, he's not. It's going to be a Canadian super indie. He's going to have decent production, but the booking is going to be kind of meh. And the talent level that he's got, like some of those guys from Border City are pretty good, right? But most of them ain't stars. And I think they're going to find out that outside of Tony Khan and TNA lending talent and New Japan lending talent, because El Phantasmo was on the show too, and so was Kushida. It's going to be pretty tough sledding for old Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling to gain a foothold. You muted yourself, JD. Hold on. Unmute yourself.
I don't know how I did that. Or did my choking gimmick and I muted myself. No, Scott's good at running shows. Like he's good at being in the game and getting people out, and he's good at staying involved. So he's got to find an identity for his company. It's going to take some time, but I don't know if he's coming for TNA's spot. I don't even know how to interpret that. Yeah. He's come with a vengeance. TNA is actively helping him, and he promoted Bound for Glory on his show. Like I think they're all fine. Yeah. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. I got a heart out in less than 30 seconds, so I do have to go. Thanks everybody for being here. Go to patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. Greatly appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe. That's going to do it for us this week. And until next time, mahalo.
Competition starting to get thick. It's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. A made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This is an A game. Better bring your A game.